I'm shocking. I'm shocking. If I had honestly, I'd have slept through. I would have. I think I would have slept through if I had been woken up.
Not as tea yet.
No, not as tea yet.
Just literally just shoveled mine in.
Just shoveled in. Good evening, everybody. Joining and welcome to our ETA discussion night.
Nobody's joining.
They will. They'll join.
You said.
Welcome everybody joining.
Yeah,
joining. Because they'll join in a minute, and if they're watching on pre-record, they can get that welcome message as they're coming in. There you go. Evening, guys.
Hi, guys. Hi,
Anne.
Right,
How are you? I apologise, guys. I've been in bed.
Yeah.
Hey, Ange, Laura. It's lovely to see you, John. I know he's been in hibernation, hasn't he? He's hibernating while he's growing that beard. That's where it's come from. The hibernation. He's being a squirrel or a bear.
John. She got rid of John and Willie Nelson.
Yeah. Evening, soldier.
Roger.
Lovely.
Hey, Dave, left have a catch up. So.
Excuse me for yawning. I do apologise. Sorry, not joint. Tut, Ange. Get your hand slapped, when I see you. Evening, Beth. I do apologise. Tarot's will be rescheduled. I fell asleep at 5:30. Evening, Denise. John did try to wake me up 3 times. And I didn't wake up. So, my bad. I apologise. So, Tarot's will be live. So, I'm going to be sitting yawning all night. So, if anybody's watching, I apologise now.
You'll start me off.
Because I've not long had my eyeballs opened. I will hold it out for you. You better, my lovely, because we'll be seeing you tomorrow.
You're always good girls, Anne.
She's never good. She's never good. Jules will be on with you in a mo. She's a bog. Oh, guys, she's going to love you for telling us that.
Yeah, bye.
Yeah.
Number 1 and number 2.
If he puts number 2, Jules she'll set Parrot on him, I'm telling you. She'll let Parrot out at cage just to annoy him. Evening, mate. Grizzly Adams.
I know. Hair's getting longer now.
It is. Yeah. Even went for a prune, didn't you, love? Not a prune. What is it? Yeah, pruning. Even had it pruned. Went for a pamper session. And he'll definitely be going back again.
I'll be here every week if I could.
I know. Get him a right pamper session at this place in Chesterfield.
I had them, them like makeup pad things you.
Oh, yeah, that put on your eyes.
Put them on my eyes, and then they put these hot towels on me, over my eyes and my face and on my
it feels right nice.
And then they did all that. And then he did all shaving and all trimming and everything, and then he put all cold towels on, and then they were straight, and then they were talc, and then they did that buffing with your skin and all that.
He did, right? Enjoyed it, but
it is a beard, and it's grown overnight. It has. It's grown overnight.
It's come on, doesn't it?
It's
clean shaved.
Have you ever had a hot and cold stone massage?
No.
Shouldn't
be having your motor. No, and he will not be having his motorbike. He can have a toy one, but he's not having
every time, Mick. Every time I go to town.
I know, Nanny Lane.
Chesterfield.
This is what he gets when he don't come on.
Every time I go and watch Chesterfield, Mick, I always think of you because they always sing. They always sing about Mansfield. It always makes me smile. I always think of Mick.
The witch is on. You're not a witch, my lovely Trisha, but how are you, my sweet lady? I hope you're well. I know, Nanny Lynn, he's been off camera, he comes back on and he's got this beard. I'll go do something like that beauty place, but you can't polish it.
Beauty place?
It's not a beauty place, it's a barber's. Up the stag, says Denise.
No, yeah, right up.
Hi, Shirley.
Shirley, how are you, my lovely?
But no, smile because they always sing Mansfield get battered everywhere they go. Everywhere they go.
And I wonder what they sing about Chesterfield.
Probably the same.
So this evening, I'm okay. Just aching to get back after swim. Oh, bless you. Do you know, I'd love to start. I keep saying I'm going to start swimming. I keep telling, good morning, Mr. Steve.
Morning, Mr. Lilly.
I keep saying
Hi,
I'm going to go
Steve.
swimming. But then I'll say, when I've lost some weight, I'll go swimming. And it's like, nah. I've got to do something to try and tighten the muscles. So we are talking about haunted prisons this evening. Spire, is it rats or Ritz? I think it should be rats.
Spire rats.
Spire rats.
Blocker.
I like that, Denise. I like that one. So the first prison we're going to be talking about is, am I right with the Philadelphia one?
Yep.
Yep. Is the Philadelphia State Penitentiary. Yeah, John will say it. Penitentiary. Yeah, one of them. Rights. It is rights.
Spire
rights. Yeah. I'd have called them Spire rats.
She's got to go to a game, yeah.
I haven't been to a game yet.
She's going to get lynched because I'm going to make her wear a T-shirt that said, I called your lot Spire rats.
I have worked in many prisons. Lincoln and Leeds would be good to get into. And work your magic. Work your magic, my lovely. If you can get us inside any of them or something that's closed down, that would be
I've been trying for the last
amazing.
5 years to get Lindsay in Rampton.
It's on my bucket list to investigate a prison.
You ain't have her.
No, won't have me. So, the first prison we're going to be talking about is Philadelphia State Penitentiary. John's bike. That's all he can have, Nanny in that little bike. So, this is
A picture of.
I mean, from state, it looks more like a castle.
I know.
Hey,
Sure.
The other night, I started to see the light at the end of it. Oh, that's amazing, Shirley, my lovely. And you join us any night, Shirley, when you're feeling like that. Just come and join us. But I'm glad you're feeling a little bit better, my lovely.
Me too.
Getting in them is very hard. Ramby maybe a start. Ooh, leave it down to you, Ange. Ups and downs, I'm not getting back to normal. Oh, prisons are beautiful. They are. Well, that looks.
I know
amazing.
you'd expect prisons in Britain to look more like that, wouldn't you, than in America? Because that looks like an old English castle.
It does.
It does.
I mean, if we were walking past that,
No, it's Philadelphia State Prison.
I would never have thought that was a prison. Like Mick just said, is that Lincoln? You know, it's like Lincoln Castle.
Well, according to Tinterweb, it's Philadelphia State Prison. It's off Wikipedia, so
no, it's look how old it is though. Well, we're going to find out. I've watched a few teams investigate this place, and it's really creepy, and that's what soldiers say.
You feel lighter now, Jules?
Oh, Jules, guys, grassed you up for going to the toilet. Is that really America?
I don't know. Let's have a look.
John's going to have a look now.
Hi, Jules.
That.
I've got to.
Oh, he's got to do something else now. America trying to copy our history.
I would say so. That looks more like
an American number plate.
Yeah.
Look at this. We're going straight in. Well, if anybody's in from America, they might be able to tell us. But, I mean, it's open for visitors during day. Is there much of a difference between Old English and Old American castles? They're all quite similar, aren't they? They are. Yeah, it is. Open for tours, look. They are quite similar, Steve. So I wonder whether there is a little bit of, like Nanny Lynn said, not copying history, but whether there's some of their buildings or whether castles were just built like that. Do you know what I mean? When you go back, if they all built stuff like this, all the old ones look like that. I worked at one that was built for Civil War prisoners. Wow. Well, I know one day where we want to go to in daytime, and that's thingy if we can. I mean, we might be able to do a bit of filming. What's it called? That prisoner of war camp, Eden Camp.
Yeah.
But we'd have to walk around in the day because you can't actually investigate.
Well, I mean, this prison
was
first. It were 1829. It first opened, so it were obviously built in 1800.
We'll let John do history on this one, and then we can have a chat afterwards, can't we?
Right, Eastern State Penitentiary is located in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and is considered one of the most haunted prisons in the world. The prison first opened in 1829 and it operated until 1971. It was designed to hold 253 inmates in solitary confinement for the entirety of their sentence. Once prisoners entered, a hood was placed over the head as a guard led them to the cell. They were locked inside for the entire day, fed through a slot in the door, and permitted only half an hour of exercise, and only allowed out of their cell once every 2 weeks to bathe. It's like you, that. At which time they were again hooded so they could not catch a glimpse of another inmate. Each cell was built with vaulted ceilings and skylights that allowed God's light into the cell, along with a toilet, running water, heat, and a Bible. The two most well-known inmates were bank robber Slick Willie Sutton and Scarface Al Capone. So the prison practiced the sound of silence, meaning that inmates were not allowed to speak, sing, or hum. God, you'd be no good there.
God, I didn't know.
Prisoners who did not follow this silence rule might find themselves gagged with a metal tongue clamp, which included chaining their tongues to their wrists.
It's nasty.
If they struggled against the chains, this would cause the tongue to tear.
Oh.
And this rule caused many prisoners to go insane.
Me and Claire would have that if we were in cells next to each other.
What?
We'd have that gag tongue on.
Actually went on eBay to see if it's any for sale.
It is rough. I was looking at that today. Steve's put 253 is an odd number. I wonder if it had any significance to anything. You'll have to Google that, Steve, and find out for us. Excuse me, it's 2.0. Carry on, John.
It's 2-0.
Oh, 2-0. Carry on, John. Oh my God, Gagling's it. Oh.
So along with the silence came cruel punishments, and these included... Sorry, my throat's a bit dry. These punishments included the water bath. That's a punishment.
Yeah.
Where inmates were dunked in a bath of ice cold water and hung from a wall for the night.
Oh yeah, because they wanted to freeze the body, and they put them out on coldest nights, so the bodies would freeze.
There was also the mad chair that was inside a pit called the Hole, an underground cell block beneath cell block 14, where there was no lights, and inmates were strapped tightly to a chair, restricting any movement for days, with periods of starvation. Some prisoners, once removed from the restraints, were permanently crippled. This was for the worst behaved prisoners.
Yeah, Kelly.
And these sometimes lasted weeks that they were kept in there.
Did, and you know, they used to have, some of them had to have amputations done because they'd been strapped in that when they undid them. They had to amputate some of the limbs. Bits would drop off in the cold. It wouldn't anyone. Enough to freeze your brass monkeys off.
Women were also inside the prison.
Ooh.
They were in cell block 2 for 100 years until 1923, when the last female prisoner was brought inside. Al Capone was an inmate here at this penitentiary from 1929 to 1930, serving 8 months for carrying a concealed weapon. He was housed in cell block 8 before being transferred to Alcatraz. He had the nicest cell of the whole prison. Capone was allowed to have furnishings which included lamps, paintings, and a cabinet radio.
I remember seeing that when you look at his cell online. Yeah.
And that's it.
Wow.
He often complained. Go on, Claire.
I take we're paying somebody then.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he'll have had prison guards in his pocket and lot, wouldn't he, really? Half at police would have been on his payroll.
Yeah, definitely.
So Al Capone often complained that he was haunted by the ghost of James Clark, one of the victims from the St. Valentine's Day massacre in Chicago. Capone did not fire the shot that killed Clark, but did order the shooting. Executions were not done at this prison, but multiple murders took place, including 2 guards who were murdered along with many inmates over the years. Hundreds of inmates died of old age and disease. On April 3rd, 1945, a major escape took place, carried out by 12 inmates. Over the course of a year, they managed to dig a tunnel undiscovered that extended 97 feet under the prison wall. Renovations that had taken place during the 1930s led to the discovery of another 30 incomplete tunnels.
Wow.
Many ghost stories have been heard from this prison as far back as the 1940s. Visitors have reported seeing the ghost of Joseph Taylor, who murdered an inmate named Michael Duran to death in 1884. After he carried out this murder, it is reported he quietly entered his cell and went to sleep. His ghost is reported to wander the halls to this day.
Wow.
Another ghostly encounter was witnessed by a locksmith. He was doing restoration work in cell block 4, trying to remove a 140-year-old lock from a cell door when a massive force overcame him and he was unable to move. It is believed once the lock was removed, a gateway opened that allowed spirits caught behind the door to escape. The locksmith states that faces appeared on the cell wall and swirled towards him.
Wow. One word from Capone, and he would have had any guard or warden killed. He got treated very, very differently as a soldier. Even everybody joined in, and Jules has put, "Is Yo-Yo feeling any better, Linz?" She's got laryngitis. That she thinks she spoke to a GP, but she also suffers with dry eye syndrome. So unfortunately, she's taking a step back from modding. She's still going to be in chat when as she can. She might not be as chatty because she can watch, but she just can't do the reading side of it. So unfortunately she's not going to be modding, but she's still going to be in the chat, and you'll still see her out on some investigations and everything else. But she's still not 100%. She's feeling a little bit better yesterday, but that were it.
Sending love, Yolanda.
Exactly, love and healing, you beauts. In fact, I've been that bit. I messaged her today. I'll have to message her tomorrow.
Right. Charles Dickens visited Eastern State Penitentiary in the 1840s. He said he found the living conditions of the inmates appalling. He described them as being buried alive and wrote about the psychological torture the inmates suffered. The solitary confinement system eventually collapsed due to overcrowding in 1913. Afterwards, it was operated as a congregate prison until it closed in 1970.
What's a congregate prison?
Congregate, it's where everybody, it's like,
congregate
all in one area. It then housed inmates after a riot in another prison in Pennsylvania. Officially closed in 1971, the prison was made a National Historic Landmark in 1965 and opened its doors for public tours in 1994, and it's now open as a museum and for tours.
Wow. Ange, evening Lisa. Ange, you may need to update your Facebook if you go to Play Store and go to where your apps need updating, and update it there, my lovely, because that tends to what happens when you've got an update pending, because there's been some new updates out on Facebook this week, so that's what I would do.
So this is a little photos from. I read it.
So this is a few photos from. Wow.
Oh gosh, it's massive.
That the chair that this. I went a bit quick. That's Capone's.
There you go.
Wow.
No, thank you.
No. So if anybody got the chance to go, would you go and investigate? Yeah. So what can we talk about to do with that one then? So Al Capone, like Soldier says, Al Capone's a big name to have in a prison for a start anyway, even though, what did he do, 8 months?
8 months in that one, then he went to Alcatraz.
Yeah, so 8 months Al Capone did in that one. I wonder if he got that same treatment though in Alcatraz. or whether it were a different treatment he got in Alcatraz. Evening, Susan, my lovely.
I'm guessing different, but that's just my opinion because obviously it's middle of nowhere, isn't it?
Well,
there's no one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's. I've read before about Al Capone. I don't know if anybody else has. No worries, Jules, my lovely. I don't know if anybody else has.
Yeah, me too, Angie.
Oh, I forgot what I was going to say. It'll come back to me. I'm losing my mind. I think a lot of people would love to go to Alcatraz. Weren't you supposed to go when you
No,
went?
I'd love to go.
Or is it what you were going to fit in afterwards?
No, I said I'd like to go back. I'd like to go back and do Alcatraz. Yeah, definitely.
Anyway, who's the pretty lady on the other side? That's Claire.
Me. Weird.
It's John.
You've seen Claire, haven't you, Mick? She's been out on investigation with us. So I'll just put, no, I wouldn't go investigate. Might find a ghost. Yeah.
2-1, yeah.
Can't find why it had 253 cells. The prison originally started as a jailhouse with 16 cells. So I wonder whether some of the 253 cells, then I wonder whether some of them wouldn't have been, like back in the day when it were first up and running, if it opened with 16 cells, I wonder whether some of them would have been torture cells, but there were ones that maybe like kept behind a closed door kind of thing. What do you think of some punishments, though, Claire, that they went through?
That tongue thing. Oh, my God.
Do you know?
Too far.
On tongue. I mean, what it looked like, when I saw a picture of it, they got their hands tied in front of them, and they got this metal thing going across. They were like just going across the mouth there. It's like this long metal thing. And every time they moved or they did something, it started cutting into the tongue. So even if they just like move slightly,
I mean, every time they talked.
Yeah. So imagine if you sneezed.
Oh God, I sneeze 1,000 times.
Well, look at you. Claire and I went to your Alcatraz is many, many miles away. Wow. Alcatraz is in the harbour of San Francisco. Yes.
Yeah. Definitely like to go back there, Andy, to America and do Alcatraz.
Yeah. Their daily routines sound horrible. I wonder whether, I'm not saying now, but when did they start changing laws on?
I don't know.
Because, if this were happening in prisons today, I wonder how many people would break law. I mean, this is corporal. Is it corporal punishment? This what it's done?
They won't be allowed to do it now anyway, because obviously,
but
can't go down that route.
Could you imagine though? I mean, it's awful to even think, because back then there were no. If you were found guilty, you were guilty, and it weren't like there were any DNA tests or.
No. I bet they didn't even have retrials, did they? I don't know.
I don't think it would just. In fact, I think some of them would have been. It had just been in a small room with a bloke just saying you're guilty, and that's it. It's awful to think of how many people. I mean, it's bad now on how many innocent people have been brought to jail on crimes that they've not committed. Whether it's
just happened with post office. All them people.
What's that, Claire?
Have you not seen it? Where they a few years ago they put them new systems in place to run everything, and they've accused the postal workers of stealing money. And it wasn't. It was down to the system having errors. And a lot of them have done time. There was one lady that was actually pregnant. She went into prison pregnant. But yeah, no. And now they've found it was system fault.
They've not even got an apology.
Really? Surely they've got
criminal records and all sorts.
Well, they've got to be wiped clean, haven't they? Criminal records.
They're going to get compensated and stuff, but it's still. Do you know what I mean?
Is it?
Do you imagine though if we lived in a country where if you stole anything, you got your hands chopped off or something,
or you went into one of these.
Irreversible, isn't it?
Or you went into this pit underground where you were just in a chair confined room. You were just sat bent or in a chair. It's disgusting.
And you've done nothing wrong.
No, that's wrong. Anne says she's been to Shrewsbury prison. Very creepy. Might have to look into I don't know where is Shrewsbury near
There's
London.
one of them that I wouldn't mind going to, but I'd have to get in touch with him and see if he could film it. I don't know if you want to. You actually stay the night in the prison.
Oh, we've got
that'd
to
be
do
right
it.
good.
So they lock you up basically. They do two different ones. They do a prison experience where basically you get locked up and you spend like in prison, and then they do another one which is like an escape. So you have to try and escape from prison.
Well, I'd be all right escaping. Straight.
I'm not sure if that's Shrewsbury or not.
Do you know, they'd catch me on Big Red, wouldn't they? They'd either hear me walking stick clicking along the floor, or
you'd be escaping and leaving us for dust. That's what'd happen. Every man for themselves. You'd be off.
We never get very far because we get half at where she'd laugh and all guards would be on us.
Oh, I think it'd be funny. Richard Felix owns Derby Jail.
Yeah.
We've done Derby Jail, not the one that John's on about. Worked in prison till 5 years ago, Mel. And wow, I never knew that. Never knew Anne's worked in prisons.
She didn't. She were in one.
She were in one, weren't she? Really, Claire? She's on mental asylum ward. Oh dear, we could have been
to visit me.
we could have been pals. We could have been in Excel to each other.
Derby Jails we've been to once, myself and Lindsay.
Yeah, we have.
A few years ago now. And Richard Felix actually came and joined us, didn't he, on the investigation?
I would do Derby Jail again. The only thing that with Derby Jail is it's £350
I thought it gone up to 500.
No, it's 500 on a weekend and 350 during the week. It's £350, and you investigate for £350. You should be investigating the jail itself, which isn't it's not a big place, so you could only do probably 4 people. At a push 4 people. Yeah. You all have to be very quiet.
I think you could, if you were all working together, I think you can manage 6.
Do you?
Yeah.
I don't. I think there'd be too much contamination on 6. I think shuffling at stools and feet. I think 4.
If you were all working together in a group.
I don't know.
You couldn't work separately in Derby Jail.
No, you'd have to be like a unit.
There's 2 cells you can go in. And there's a corridor.
I'm laughing at mixed comments. We'll
talk about Derby Jail. I wasn't in one. I just happened to have done lots of work. But yeah, and for So that's
here then.
Any questions on the Philadelphia State, or anybody want to say anything about the Philadelphia State before we do move on to the Derby Jail one? I think the Derby Jail one we've got probably more to comment.
They're the 2 cells you can get into,
right?
And then there's that little corridor, and then just where we are, can't really show you. Just where? Where's my cursor?
Can you wiggle your mouth?
I'm wiggling it. You see me wiggling it.
Here,
there's like.
That's like a little.
There's a little bit that goes down outside there, and then at this side of this pillar here, there's like a bar area. That goes into.
That's in and out.
No, that one goes into that. Well, it might be, and it might be further down where there's that museum. That's where you get in and out there. And then there's another room just off here, and that's it. That's how big it is.
So it's not as big as what you think. But
it's only part of the jail that Richard owns. It's been split up into different units, and he owns that part of it.
I mean, they are supposed to be trying to knock back some more, I think he said, but it's not come to pass yet. But he also owns.
But that's the old Derby jail. He also owns the tower of the other jail.
But when we went to that one, obviously, because it was Richard that had to take us round, we didn't get a chance to investigate that. Like, I don't know whether other people would get time to investigate that. Richard did go up. I couldn't go up that tower,
No,
could
there
I?
were too many steps for you.
John went up this tower, and it were like winding stairs, and they did experience some stuff up there. It were really weird on what they experienced up there, because they shouted down to me, and did you say have I just walked up the stairs or have I just shouted?
I can't remember. There was something weird.
There was something.
I'd have to watch. I'll upload video again.
Yeah, because it's an interesting video. I went into this first cell that you can see with door open. I think it's in that cell that I went and did. I went and sat in there on my own and closed the door and sat in there on my own.
Door.
You wasn't. It was up in other side. And on wall, it actually says the name John Brown had been in that cell. I thought it was so funny. But yeah, I don't know whether I went in on YouTube or Facebook. I went in on one of them, and I went in on my own and did a lone vigil inside. Felt comfortable because John rode a dark corridor, so it wouldn't have. It didn't put me off as much. I know, yeah, it were really good. I think I experienced something, but I don't know. I think I needed more, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
The history to the place, phenomenal. I just shared you, Lindsay, about an old jailhouse in the next town to me. I got to go inside it, and it had a lot of energy. Wow. I tried to take pictures of the writing on the walls and couldn't get camera to focus. Cold spells, it was uncomfortable. As curious as I am, it was freaky. Wow. Lisa. I'm going to have a look at that while John's doing the history of...
right, so...
Derby.
Old Derby Jail. It sits in a town called Derby in Derbyshire in the UK. Originally, anybody committing a crime in Derbyshire was taken to Nottingham Castle, but it were decided that a more local jail was needed. And in 1652, the Corn Market Jail was built, and there'd actually been 3 different Derby jails. The first one didn't last the test of time and was eventually demolished to make way for the jail on Old Derby Jail now that's on Friargate, which is this one here. And the third, Vernon Gate Prison, that's the other one that Richard owns that we went to where the towers are. So Old Derby Jail was built in 1756 and included stone from the original jail and in an area named Nuns Green. It had been the traditional spot for previous executions where prisoners were hanged, often from any available tree. In England, at the time the Old Derby Jail was in operation, the system of the Bloody Code was in existence. The Act began in the late 17th century and dictated that you could be executed for offences other than murder. Starting with there were about 50 offences it started with that you could be executed for. And by 1756, when the jail was in operation, new offences had been added until there were over 200 that would see you executed.
Wow.
Should you commit these crimes, some were very trivial, such as wrecking a fish pond, impersonating a Chelsea pensioner, and writing a threatening letter. Others were more serious, such as murder and treason. But the latter, treason, would have seen you hung, drawn, and quartered.
Oh.
There were over 60 executions at Nuns Green from 1735 and 1825. 18 of them were directly outside the Derby Jail on the newly erected gallows there. First of these public hangings was on the 10th of April 1812 when 27-year-old James Tomlinson and 26-year-old Percival Cook was hung for housebreaking. Most famous executions took place in November 1817 when 3 Pentridge martyrs were hung and beheaded, but they were saved from disemboweling and quartering. These were the last people in England to be beheaded by an axe.
Wow.
As well as executions, though, Old Derby Jail saw many other deaths, with some from disease and overcrowding. That seems to be quite a a theme that carries on through
It
all
does,
these prisons. At least a lot of disease and overcrowding. But where you get overcrowding in squalid conditions like that.
I'm going to say, imagine sanitary conditions for toilets and.
Well, if you've ever seen Derby Jail, or you ever saw the video we did, there were often up to 70 people crammed into 7 cells.
Wow, and
cells. There were 7 cells like that, and there was 70. So there were 10 people in each cell.
Wow. Wait, while you're seeing site cells when we put things up, they are to have 10 people in that. Oh my God, you'd be like sardines in a tin.
I know when I went to the old jail in Scotland in Stirling, that were very much similar as well. Crowded, weren't allowed to talk. They very rarely got to exercise, and when they did, it was on the run. It was up on the roof. Yeah, it's also sort of like very similar. You know how they were treated and stuff.
Yeah, but you know, I knew we did the hangings. I knew the hangings, and you know, to say I've been there. And then when John's just said undrawn and quartered, I totally forgot about that part of it. Yeah. I don't know whether I blank that out of my mind's eye. Do you know what I mean?
I watched a drama done on BBC. I don't know if it was a couple of years ago, and they did it on Guy Fawkes, and they showed you him being undrawn and quartered. And every time someone says that now, I just cringe because it was just like, oh my God.
Yeah. Oh. Imagine like soldiers just bed 10 their tiny cells, 10 people, all going to bathroom, all having a poop. The stench. I mean, not even being able to bath and wash properly and bathe the inbred muck to your skin.
10 people poop in that cell. I mean, Jules has just been upstairs and Gaz has still had air freshener.
To this day, there are about 3 to 4 in a cell, depending on the prison. Yes. Yeah.
So there were 7 cells, and the sanitary conditions and ventilation in these cells was appalling. Conditions were improved in 1774 after much criticism, but overcrowded conditions continued, as did the sickness. In 1817, the jail was looked at again and condemned for its conditions. The Corporation of Derby drew up plans for a new county jail, and the new Vernon Gate prison opened in 1827, replacing the Friargate jail, which is seen in this one.
Oh, I don't know, Steve. Did they bury their prisoners standing up like a lot of the American prisoners? Do you know? I don't know. That's an interesting one, that, Steve. We're going to have to look into that.
The old Derby jail, the Friargate one, now sits under a multi-storey building and was purchased by, obviously we all know, historian Richard Felix, who is better known for his time with the TV show Most Haunted. He's preserved the area and made it into a museum. It was Most Haunted that first brought Old Derby Jail Ghost to light with an early episode. Since then, Richard Felix has allowed ghost hunting events there, which helps towards the museum's preservation. Richard Felix even had his own experience when he clearly saw a figure moving down the hallway, thinking somebody had come in. He went to check, only to find nobody there. I think he told us about that.
He did, yeah. Yeah, told us about that.
The debtor's cell is particularly active with a spirit they believe is called George, who apparently makes himself known, especially to female guests.
And the debtor's cell is that one, isn't it, with the door open there?
I don't know. I thought that debtor's cell was the one we put you in, because that's why we put you in, because of female guests. That's why I thought you went in on your own.
No, I didn't. I went in that one there.
Yeah, I thought that was debtor's cell.
It might have been.
Further one down with condemned man's cell.
Oh, yeah, it might. I don't know. It might have been. Can't remember. Bloody hell.
And the other active cell is the condemned cell. And this is where the team from Most Haunted filmed a cross that they had out as a trigger object moving.
Wow. Have you been here, Nanny Lane, to Derby Jail? In HMP Moorland is a couple of bunks with a toilet sink and 4 bunks. It is, Ange, but I mean, a lot of our prisons now, I mean, half of those that are in our prisons today, if our prisons were like this, with the strict, they won't cope. They'd, hey, Simon, just saying hello before I go back to work. No worries, my lovely. Looking forward to tomorrow. Michelle's put me too. Would love to go again. So yeah, I mean, we can look into doing this one, but like I say, it's just the price for me on this one. There's bigger places that we can go and investigate for the price, but I suppose it depends on the history. Do you know what I mean? On how.
Yeah.
Here's an article about Derby Jail. Gallows and a guillotine are the first thing that meet your eyes as you step across the threshold of Derby Jail. That's as you go in the back entrance into the gates.
Go on. Oh, sorry.
Oh, we should read.
Oh, I'm putting it in. Cut it off again.
No, it's all right. A sinister figure stands guard as you make your way inside the blood-clearing belly of the site. Bricks line all the walls and curve around you above, and they are broken only by the cell doors with their clunking bolts.
Yeah.
Etched into the doors are the names of those who have served within the walls, along with witch marks carved into the wood in the hope of protecting prisoners from evil spirits, as well as engravings of gallows and of themselves getting hanged.
And you know it is, isn't it? It's unreal when you look, even on, on the outside of the door there that you can see, the names are etched into the outside of the door as well, not only the inside, but the outside of the doors. And it's, honestly, some markings on the door from what prisoners have done. It's like, it's unbelievable. Can't quite read.
Scotty.
Oh, no worries, Scott. I ain't got his glasses on.
Soldier says the best ghost footage I've ever seen. You got it for free.
Best ghost I've ever seen you got for free.
The monks.
Where was that one? The monks.
The monks.
They're the monks. Yeah, it's. But I think it's very true in that sense. I think because these places are very overly done. When you go to a haunted location. Such as like Derby Jail, such as like where we're going to do museum. I mean, the fire museum was full. We got the first date available because it was just fully booked up for fire museum.
Yeah.
And that we're doing the Sheffield Fire Museum, and it is supposedly one of the most haunted places to visit, to investigate. There's loads of different stories coming from staff members that have worked there to people that just walk around in daytime and have experiences. Yeah, the visitors. So it is going to be fun. But again, for places like that, they have people in. I mean, they're fully booked. And like I said, we got the first available day, which was the 12th. That was the first available date because they was just booked up every weekend when we phoned. Even Carol, my lovely, never apologise.
Hey, Carol.
So for me, because it's investigated constantly, if it's right on the energies and stuff, because these places get overdone, maybe the energies that are there don't want to come out, do tend to
That's good, mate.
Not show themselves up for whatever reason.
But
I think when you go to places like we did, where we caught the monks, that were just so raw. Do you know what I mean? It was such raw footage. We might be one out of 10 people that might catch that footage that go there. Do you know? Because
we might never ever. I mean, we could keep going back and never ever get it ever again.
Exactly. Whereas though with these places that we're going to investigate. I don't know what language I'm speaking. I'm telling you. Whether we go to like Ashbourne, whether it's going to Derby, whether it's going to you've got that many teams that have gone in and work differently. It's very easy to debunk other teams. It's very easy to cause a lot of grief can be caused because it's just, do you know what I mean? And I just think that a lot of them are overdone. Even though we like to go in them, and the figure walking past the tree stump, been there a few times, yet only caught it once. Exactly. Steve. The figure walking behind tree stump when John were on his own, and then
and that one was it Keely's Mill where that thing pushed camera.
That were Ecky Woods. We've still got to go there once.
Because we went back there, didn't we? And
I don't know whether we went up to that spot where it happened, where
Can't
camera
remember.
got pushed. I don't think I've been back there yet to that part. I know we've done other parts in Ecky Woods, but it's really good. As much as this place has been investigated, there should be some positive proof, shouldn't there? I think that's what we're trying to say, Sol, you know, when we're rambling.
Anyway, getting back onto Derby Jail.
Sorry.
In total, there were 56 hangings at the site, and even the last beheading with an axe in Great Britain took place in Derby. Some people executed had carried out horrific murders, but not all had such evil intentions. Many were executed for things such as stealing, poaching. One man had been sentenced to death for setting fire to a haystack. Yet most of these who were locked within these walls faced the prospect of a very public execution. Picture thousands of people standing outside this site. Whole families would come down to watch as the latest criminal would be executed. People would bring their kids. They'd be dressed in their Sunday best. A public execution would be like a football match or a concert of the day.
Wow.
Reporters of their day would come down and interview the criminal the day before to get their story. This was a convict's chance to admit to all their crimes in the hope that God would be listening and show them mercy.
Wow. But
I know they have no telly, but I couldn't watch that. I couldn't have like gone for a day out to watch
that. You know, though, as funny as it is, though, Claire, do you know if you think, you know, if there is, and everybody in chat put what you feel, if it come about that next week there were going to be a public hanging in, I don't know, let's say London. London is a good place. There were going to be a public hanging in Trafalgar Square. How many people would turn out?
Not me.
How many people there would be?
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
It would still go back to like it were back then.
And these,
wouldn't it?
Yeah, these stories that they got have been printed out and sold during the event. They called them penny dreadfuls. And that were equivalent of what you'd go when you buy your football program or your concert program at a thing.
They didn't know any better in those days. They had no TV. They didn't, Annie Lynn, but don't you? Hey, even Joyce. But don't you think you won't go, Annie Lynn? But how many people would still go to this day and watch it? Do you know whether they'd take the kids along? I know. Family, but people to this day, they would be still. I would say there'd be thousands that would go and watch, and there'd be some that said they wouldn't go, but then would watch it online after it had been posted. Do you know what I mean? Because it's that, I don't know whether it's the inquisitiveness, whether it's the do you know what? Do you know? It's the. I mean, obviously they've got to have been done for a crime. I'm not saying you're just going to hang somebody, but if they got hung for crimes they'd done, I think it'd be upsetting to think how many people would actually still go out there.
But how many innocent, like going back to what we were saying before, how many innocent people got hung as well?
Exactly. Well, this is it. I mean, even today, yeah. But even today, jail systems today, curiosity killed the cat. It did. But even on today's level, when you look at prisons, Claire, I mean, in England's UK prisons, I'm not saying the piss easy prisons, but compared to prisons around the world, English prisons are a walk-in, walk-out. Do you know? Mm-hmm. You look at Russian prisons, or you look at the American prisons. You've got like Shed City in America, where he's got them outside wearing pink underwear, and they're in heat of like what, in 100 degrees or something out there in Tent City and stuff like that. Mm. And you look at the way they're treated like criminals. In our prisons, it's not like that. Our prisons, a lot of them go back in because it's better than living at home for some of them. But
it depends on your crime and what category prison you're in, I suppose. But yeah, I guess what you're saying, they're not like in dirt pits where they're all in together and you know, like beating and stuff. And well, I'm guessing they're not.
Well, no, I mean, you still get your thing.
I guess what you're saying, no, you've seen them, haven't you? When like what was that program? Was it Prison Banged Up Abroad or something like that?
Something like
they tell
that.
the story. I mean, and like, oh my gosh, yeah, they've been in some really, really bad prisons.
Yeah, and how many people, like you said, are in there innocent and they're like proven, and it's like 15, 20 years later they're walking out.
And they've lost
that compensation packet. They might get what?
No.
Say they got 15 million for being locked up in prison for 40 years of their life. That money's not going to buy them back the.
You can't get the years back. You can't get
No.
the life back.
No, not at all. Jules has put, especially Salisbury prison, everybody walks out of there. All depends what crime was, says Carol. I never watched That Soldier. It's not something I'd watch. I definitely couldn't watch anyone being, no. Scotty's put, that being said, in one of the Nordic countries, I think it's Norway, they have prisons based on reformation, treat you nice, and their reoffending rate is way lower than any harsh prison system. I can believe that, because if they're going to reform, if they're going to do the reformation with them and put the time and effort into them, because a lot of them, when you think about it, haven't been shown the broken home. That some of them have been a broken home, and they've not been shown or nurtured in the right way. And I'm not saying that defeats the crime what they've done. I'm not talking about your killers or your serial killers or your thing. I'm talking about people that have just done like a theft crime from a shop or nicked a sandwich from a shop. Do you know what I mean? Your thingy crimes. Do you want to read what Steve's put, Claire?
Well, I think a lot of people would have had the same attitude as me. They would say it would depend on the crime. There are some crimes that I would hang the person myself, such as crimes against kids, because that can ruin an innocent child for life.
100%. Even Jules said pain, but sending you healing, my lovely. Prison is to some all they know. It is, Joe. When we were growing up, there were one at lads that we used to knock about with. Well, not personally knock about with, but they were in our circle of friends, if you know what I mean. He was in and out of prison, and all he were a car thief. But he'd nick a car to get caught. He never damaged the property, never damaged the cars, bar from breaking locks to start it up. But he did it because he preferred to be inside than to be at home in the lifestyle that the family had.
It's funny because
and it is sad, isn't it?
I knew this lad, and he could cope with life outside prison.
Yeah.
And he used to say, as soon as he came out, he'd end up straight back in. And he used to say to me, Claire, I can make more money in prison than I can outside.
Exactly. When you think about it, for some of them, it's the reasons why they're in there, or they keep going back in. And I think, especially, I can't speak for other countries because their laws are completely different to ours. But I do think that in our country, when you look, when they did them prisons online, and it showed you like Leeds prison or Doncaster prison, and you saw all it were horrible to watch, because there were people that were like, I've heard of Spice and I've seen people on Spice. If anybody doesn't know what Spice is, it's like this fake drug, poison bag of shit that people put into the systems, and it can kill you. And they're all on this in prisons. But you look at, when you're listening to the stories and the background and where they've come from, half of them it's been bred into. Do you know? And I think if they could put some really strict reformative, like something for those that it can, and it's not going to work for every one of them.
But again, it's different category prisons, isn't it? Because some have like nearly all day bang up. It depends how severe your crime, and I guess some people are in there as well for, I don't know. For example, say two people got into a fight and one person ends up killing someone, and it's not actually done on purpose. Obviously, they still go to prison. It's different kind of crimes as well.
That depends, Claire, on how it happened and who.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying it will. Sometimes you can end up in there. But I do agree with the programs that they put in place where they try and educate, give them a chance once they come out. But again, it all depends what crime is and where, what kind of prison that they're in. But some are really cushy. Some are really cushy.
Really, some of them, they've got PlayStations, tellies, telephones in the set, and it's like it's home from home. They might as well sit in there. They've got a phone they can phone outside world upon, and like you said, run the business. Very easy.
Take care, mate.
Take care, Mick, my lovely. Stay safe. But it is sad, Nanny Lynn. The homeless over here do that. They commit a crime because they are warm and well fed over winter. Right. And I think that's,
We're going to go on to the next one.
Yes, you can go on to the next one.
this one because we've been on it.
That's okay.
And
Go
we'll
on.
do a part 2.
We're gonna have to do a
Alright.
part 2, Claire.
So
Just
this one,
resubscribed in my card.
Oh,
No,
wow.
I'll go on and sort it now, my lovely. Go on.
this one
This
is
looks
West
lovely.
Virginia Penitentiary. It's located in Moundsville, West Virginia. During the Civil War, West Virginia separated from Virginia in 1863, and the new state was in immediate need of public institutions, including prisons. But building these places would take time and money. West Virginia Governor Arthur Bowman lobbied the new West Virginia legislature for a state penitentiary, but was repeatedly denied. As a result, prisoners were held in existing county jails or sent to institutions out of state, but not to Virginia, which was still angry about the separation and barred West Virginia from using their facilities. Many of the criminals were jailed in a small structure in nearby Wheeling, but it quickly became overcrowded, and in 1865, 9 inmates escaped. Afterward, the state finally took action in February 1866 and approved the purchase of land in Moundsville to build a state prison. The 10-acre site was convenient as it was just about 12 miles south of Wheeling, which was the state capital at the time. That summer, a temporary wooden prison was built, surrounded by a wooden stockade that housed prisoners. In the meantime, officials worked with architects on the design of a new prison. They chose a Gothic-style design that was similar to the 1858 Northern Illinois Penitentiary at Joliet. The building would be constructed of stone, complete with turrets, battlements, and lancet windows, giving it the appearance of a fortress. It was constructed with the help of inmate labor. The first structure built was the North Wagon Gate, made with hand-cut sandstone quarried from a local site. Work on the first phase of the prison continued until 1876, when it was completed at a total cost of $363,061. The north and south cell blocks areas both measure 300 by 52 feet. The north wing was initially used as a kitchen, dining room, and chapel before additional cells were gradually added in the 1890s. In between the cell blocks is the 4-story administration building that included space for female inmates on the 3rd floor and personal living quarters for the warden and his family on the 4th floor. The 2nd floor served as a hospital. The stone walls are 5 feet thick at the base, tapering to 2.5 feet at the top. So nobody were getting through them, were they?
Nope.
So it actually opened in 1876, at which times it housed 251 inmates. Well, the other one were 253, weren't
Like
it?
Steve said, there must be around the that must be I wonder if it were like maximum 250 odd per prison then, because like Steve said, it's that number again, isn't it, coming up with 250.
And to rub salt in that wound, some of the 258 inmates that were housed there had helped build the prison. Afterward, more facilities, workshops, and outbuildings were constructed, including a wash house, bakery, and a hospital inside the North Recreation Yard. In the next decade, more improvements were made to the facility. Steam heat was added in the mid-1870s, and coal oil lamps were replaced by electricity in 1900. Bricks were used for walkways and roads, which improved drainage and cleanliness of the grounds. The administration building was also improved, with an elevator installed in 1894. And the exterior porch that actually made the prison look a bit welcoming, which I presume is that three-porch thing
there. I mean, it looks beautiful, that, doesn't it?
By the early 1900s, the prison it also included several shops in which the inmates worked, including carpentry, paint and wagon shops, stone and brick yards, a blacksmith, a tailor, a shoe shop, a bakery, and a hospital.
That one at better prisons then?
Well, I presume they worked to supply townspeople or whatever at that time.
But they should.
In addition to a 200-plus acre prison farm, these industries helped support the prison financially, and it was mostly self-sufficient. Prisoners also worked in the kitchen, stable, and wash house. During this time, prison conditions were good, with a warden's report stating that both the quantity and quality of all purchases of material, food, and clothing have been very gradually but steadily improved, while the discipline has become more nearly perfect and the exaction of labor less stringent. Education was also a priority for the inmates, and the school and library were built in 1900. The library grew to include over 5,000 books, and at one time, those who could not read were required to attend night school. Other educational classes and enriching programs were also available for all inmates. The prison had its own band for recreation, which played in a bandstand located in the North Recreation Yard. Many inmates played on a baseball team that competed against local teams in Moundsville and the Ohio Valley area. For many years, the print shop published a magazine called Work and Hope. Church services were held in a large room on the second floor of one building. By the 1920s, the female inmates were moved from the administration building to a separate two-story building located in the northwest corner of the North Recreation Yard. This building had its own dining room and kitchen, in addition to cells. A high wall enclosed this section from the main part of the prison. During this time, approximately 50 women were employed in part of the shirt shop, let's say that slowly, making collars and cuffs for the shirts made by the men's prisoners. The other women were employed in domestic work within the prison. In 1921, a prison coal mine was opened about a mile away. Oh yeah, that's it. We'll just get prisoners digging underground. That's it.
Yeah, send them down.
A prison coal mine was opened about a mile away, which helped the facility with its energy needs and saved thousands of dollars each year. It also put inmates to work, some of whom were allowed to stay at the mine's camp under the supervision of the mine's foreman. In 1925, 2 new water wells were drilled that supplied the penitentiary and in times of need could supply the city of Moundsville. In 1929, the size of the prison was doubled as overcrowding had become a problem. 3 men were assigned to a 5 by 7 foot cell before this time. Well, I'm 6 foot. So it were one way was slightly shorter than me and the other way was slightly bigger than me.
Wow.
With 2 prisoners sleeping on the bunks and the third sleeping on a mattress on the floor. So basically, there'd have been bunk beds at one side and then a mattress, I presume, they would have gone under
bottom
bed
bunk.
and then they'd pulled it out. And because that only just room 7 foot, you probably got enough room for a toilet at end of beds.
Yeah.
If they had a toilet, I don't know, in there. And then oak floor had been taken up with beds. Inmate labour was again used to build a new wing connected to the south side of the prison was completed in 1939. More expansion was also planned, that it was delayed by a steel shortage during World War II and wasn't entirely completed until 1959.
Wow.
During these years, conditions worsened until the facility was ranked by the US Department of Justice as one of the top 10 most violent correctional facilities in the country. Conditions began to deteriorate, and even more in the 1950s when overcrowding once again became a major problem. Once again, 3 prisoners were often forced to a 5 by 7 foot cell. The penitentiary housed approximately 80 women prisoners until 1947 when a new facility was opened at Penn Springs, West Virginia, and the women were transferred. The warden and his family continued to live in the administration building until a new dwelling was built just south of the penitentiary. The new Colonial Revival House featured a circular fish pond, side bay windows, a curved drive, a patio, tennis courts, and gardens.
Oh.
You looked after them, weren't it?
Yeah, Warden were nice spot.
In the 60s and 70s, 1960s and 70s, many of the older brick buildings within the North Recreation Yard were removed and replaced with concrete block and metal buildings. One of the buildings removed had been utilized for church services. In the 1970s, the local Pastors Association donated the present chapel building in the South Recreation Yard. So actually, a lot of this prison, apart from probably the main face bit of it, isn't that old, is it?
No. And then Lynn's asked, what's prison called again, John?
This one is West Virginia Penitentiary.
Okay, babe.
On November the 7th, 1979, there was a large prison break when 15 inmates escaped. During the escape, inmate Ronald T. Williams stole a prison guard's service weapon, and when he encountered a 23-year-old off-duty West Virginia State Trooper, Philip S. Kessner, he shot and killed him. For the next 18 months, Williams remained at large, committing crimes across the nation and killing a man in Arizona during a robbery. After making the FBI's 10 most wanted list, he was involved in a shootout with federal agents at the George Washington Hotel in New York City in 1981.
Wow, 1981.
He was apprehended and returned to West Virginia to complete several life sentences. As of January 2019, he remains in West Virginia custody. I don't know about any later than that. During the prison break, the communication between the state and local police was said to have been poor, with local authorities hearing about the escape over the police scanner, which very well could have led to an earlier capture of the fugitives. By 1986, the prison was undergoing several problems, including loose security, plumbing issues, insect infestations, and once again, overcrowding, with a population of more than 2,000 men. Say it were originally built for 251. But I mean, it'd been added on.
Yeah, but again, they say they've got plumbing issues, insect invest. They let prisoners build prison.
During this time, security was so loose that some described the facility as a cons prison, where most of the locks on the cells have been picked and the inmates roam the halls freely. On January the 1st, 1986, when the prison was short-staffed due to the holiday, inmates in the prison rioted. At about 5:30 p.m., 20 prisoners who belonged to a group called Avengers stormed the mess hall and attacked Captain Glassock, 5 other officers, and a food service worker. All of them were slammed to the floor and handcuffed with a guard's handcuff. More hostages were taken throughout the 2-day upheaval. During the riot, 3 inmates were killed. Negotiations with Governor Arch A. Moore Jr. resulted in a new list of rules and standards on which the prison would operate. None of the hostages were seriously injured.
Wow, I bet they were shit in the sens.
The same year, the West Virginia Supreme Court ruled that the confinement to the 5 by 7 foot cells constituted cruel and unusual punishment. Over the next decade, the population was reduced due to the building of more prisons, and by 1995, the facility held only 600 to 700 inmates when the decision was made to close the facility. During its 119-year tenure, approximately 998 men died in the prison. Of these, 36 were homicides. From 1899 to 1959, 94 men were executed at the prison, with 85 men executed by hanging. These executions were open to public until June 19, 1931, when inmate Frank Hyatt was hanged for murdering his wife. Unfortunately, when the trapdoor beneath him was opened, he fell and he was instantly decapitated.
Oh.
Remember that one? They have to watch it on an hill then, didn't they? Yeah.
Afterwards, attendance at execution could only be beat by those who were invited. The last man hanged at the prison was a man named Bud Peterson from Logan County. He was buried in the prison cemetery after his death because his family refused to claim his body. In the early days, hangings probably took place near the North Wagon Gate. Later, a 1929 publication states that the main hospital building was a location of the death row and execution room. In 1949, the state legislature decided electrocution was more humane. 9 men were killed in the electric chair before the state prohibited capital punishment in 1965. At that time, executions took place in a building called the Death House, where there were 4 holding cells on the first floor. The building no longer stands today. Prisoners who died from execution or other causes were buried at the Whitegate Cemetery if relatives didn't claim their bodies. The graves are designated with a license plate type marker. The cemetery is located about 3.5 miles east of the prison at 700 Toms Run Lane. Today, there are no buildings or structures standing from the prison, farm, and coal mine, as these sites are currently utilized by the regional jail facility in Moundsville. After the prison closed, the Moundsville Economic Development Council leased the complex for 25 years. Today, it serves as a dual purpose as a training facility and a tourist attraction. During its 119-year life as a penitentiary, the facility held some of the most violent killers, rapists, and other criminals, many of whom never left the institution alive. It comes as no surprise that this type of environment would leave behind more than a few wandering spirits. Another reason this building may be haunted is because it is said it was built on an ancient Native American burial ground. This would not be hard to believe, as the old prison was built directly across from the Grave Creek Mound. one of the largest conical-type burial mounds in the United States. Members of the Adena culture moved more than 6,000 tons of dirt to create it in about 250 to 150 BC. Some believe that the negative energy from the deceased Native Americans infiltrated the prison, resulting in many of the paranormal events that have occurred there.
I'd agree to that.
Hauntings have been reported as early as the 1930s. During this time, an inmate was often spied walking along a maintenance area where prisoners were not allowed. In some cases, the guards set off alarms, but there was no one there and no inmates unaccounted for when they investigated. The old recreation room in the basement called the Sugar Shack. I'm sure I've seen a program on the Sugar Shack.
We've seen something with this. I'm sure it was Zach. I'm sure, Zachy Baggins. They've done this one with Sugar Shack.
Called the Sugar Shack by prisoners, was once infamous for illegal gambling, drug deals, rape, fighting, and murder. Today, visitors report hearing unseen people arguing, talking, and whispering here. Others have heard unexplained noises and felt cold spots within the room. In addition to the recreation room, the whole basement area is said to be haunted by a maintenance man who once worked here. He was said to have often spied on the prisoners and was quick to report any news or infractions to the guards. In retaliation, he was stabbed several times with shivs when he was in the bathroom. After his death, this ghost was said to wander around the basement area, and some people have reported equipment malfunctions.
And that still stands today. Snitches get stitches, even in prison.
Not much left this one. The North Wagon Gate, the prison's oldest structure, is said to be the home of one of the prison's most active ghosts.
I think that's that bit there, look, which you'll have to point out. I think that's the oldest part, look, if you look at that white thing there. So that's the part that you're talking about now.
It's that one, isn't it?
Yeah, there. That bit there, that's the part, it's the oldest part, we think.
This area once held the execution gallows.
You took the picture up. There we go.
This area once held the execution gallows where a man named Orville Adkins was hanged in 1938. Here, visitors say the area exudes an evil feeling, and they feel as if they're being watched. Mysterious sounds and voices have been captured in EVPs, and ghosts of the condemned are sometimes seen. The gate is haunted by Orville Adkins, who was condemned for kidnapping a minister who was later found dead. However, his execution was botched. As the noose was being placed around his neck, a nervous assistant pulled the trapdoor handle too quickly, and Orville fell 20 feet to the stone walkway. Though he was stunned and hurt, he was still alive. He was then pulled back up to the scaffold and hanged correctly.
Wow.
His footsteps are said to be heard slowly pacing back and forth. The North Hall was where the prison's worst offenders were placed, not for the crimes they committed outside, but for violent behaviour on the inside. Though they were locked down in their cells for 23 hours a day, 2 murders occurred here. One was a biker named Danny, who was stabbed in the eye by another inmate and died of his hemorrhages. The other was William Red Snyder. Now, I've seen somebody.
There was a gentleman. If anybody gets a chance to watch it, and I don't know which one it's called, which like big. I don't know whether it would be called the State Penitentiary.
There was a bloke driving by outside prison when they were doing it, and they actually interviewed him, didn't they? Because he were a cellmate of that.
He was that Red, or he weren't a cellmate. He were a friend of Red. And
Red was convicted of murdering his parents and dismembering their corpses. Red was disliked by many of the inmates and involved in several fights. In the end, he was attacked in front of his cell and fatally stabbed 37 times.
We were heartbroken, that bloke, weren't
The hall has been the site of many strange events, including photographic anomalies, equipment malfunctions, the sound of cell doors banging when no one is there. Many have reported feeling very uncomfortable there. Red Snyder's cell is said to be particularly haunted.
Didn't someone set fire to one as well in that same prison? I'm sure somebody set fire.
I might get to it yet, I don't know. In the solitary confinement area, people have often reported feeling cold spots and as if they have been touched on their backs. Other hotspots include death row, the psych ward, chapel, shower cages, dining room and boiler room. There is one particular entity that is called the Shadow Man because he lurks in dark places and has no visible features. He has been described as appearing like a dark shadow that is very intimidating. Throughout the prison, visitors and staff report seeing fleeting glimpses of apparitions, smelling unpleasant odors, strange noises, and echoes. Feelings of being watched, and disembodied voice that says, "Help, I am trapped." Visitors have felt brushed, tapped, and even shoved by invisible hands, and cameras have captured ghostly mists, faces, figures, and orbs. Some have seen the ghosts of prisoners in uniforms walking the halls and disappearing into walls. The West Virginia Penitentiary is considered one of the most haunted prisons in all of the United States today and is also listed on the National Register of Historic Places.
Wow.
And you can visit the prison and you can experience a 90-minute day tour, 3-hour investigation or overnight investigations and the various events from April to December.
Wow.
As of 2019. Whether it's changed or not now, I don't know.
That one, that's wow, that goes into detail, that one, doesn't it? But do you know, I can't believe how well it sounded off as a prison, and how
They started with like, God, this is amazing.
this is I bet everybody in America wanted to be in this prison when they did a crime.
Yeah.
It sounds absolutely
and it's like helping out local people and businesses and stuff like that. It was just self-sufficient, and I'm thinking, God, this is really good.
Yeah,
and then
definitely.
it went south.
But I think again, learning from past for this one, helping the communities, making them learn sewing and how to stitch stuff together, or learning
and
them
end
how
up in
to
ditches, Charles.
and ends up in ditches. And like I wonder why it was called Tom's Run Lane. I don't know.
Steve.
On Facebook, my comments about watching people's offence against kids hanging me got me a ban on Facebook. So can't comment or listen. Really, Steve? How bloody ridiculous! It's bloody stupid. Stay on YouTube. That's shocking. That, Steve. That's. I don't see if you can contend that. See if you can tell them that it's that they've misread it. You might be able to appeal it against. But yeah, I mean, the things that they were doing for community first off,
seem really
they were
good.
amazing.
And then where did it go wrong?
I think overcrowded.
I think it was overcrowded.
It'll have been overcrowded and understaffed, and prisoners will have took over.
Yeah, which is the case.
I can't believe that they thought that electric chair were more humane than hanging.
No.
I like sitting in an electric chair. I wouldn't want to be up, but I definitely want to sit in an electric chair.
Well, let us know, Nanny Lane. Let us know if you do, and you come on and tell us what research you've found on these prisons. If you fancy coming up and on, it's got a 2-day ban. I can't comment or react to anything. I think you can if you're a mod, Steve. You should be able to if you're a mod. But if you can't and you need to, let me know, because I can alter it so you can. Only on ours though. You don't do it, you're on ours. Nanny Lynn's put, I thought that too, Claire.
I know. I can't even imagine that.
I think if I got to go through, I don't know which, electric chair or hanging.
I think I'd rather be on.
I think I'd
rather have neither, but
I think,
if I had to pick
I think if I were around at them times, I think I would rather get stabbed by an inmate. I would rather fight somebody and have my life that way than get hung.
I had a jolt once from my straighteners and I come film. Oh, it's bloody painful.
When you have like an electric, imagine sitting there.
Sparky.
No. And the smell and everything else, I don't know how people could have watched it. No
mods on Facebook if I see it. No worries, my love. We'll keep an eye on it, Steve. But I'll sort it that you can I'll sort it so you can comment as a mod on Facebook, Steve. Cheers, Scotty. But yeah, I mean, like you said, you have a spark off, like even the pain that you're in, the burning sensation. If you get an electric shock on your hand, that burning sensation, it shoots up your arm when it's only like a little one.
I just know.
You couldn't imagine the intensity
It
of
does
that.
me as well, June, when oh God, Jules has put electric chair always reminds me of Green Mile when they don't when they
Oh,
don't wet the sponge.
that were
Oh
awful.
God,
That's the
yeah,
wagon
no,
wheel.
That's the
yeah,
wagon.
it was
Yeah,
awful.
it were in that place where we pointed. But yeah, I mean that made me Scotty's on
Oh,
Facebook.
bless you, Scotty.
The Green Mile. I mean that film got me anyway. But I mean, I don't know whether that were based on a true story or whether it were just
No, it's just Stephen King.
But no, I don't mean based on a true story. I don't know whether they were. I know some of it,
Oh,
but some of it would
Transport.
have been the storyline to it, but other bits added in. Is this the 7B7 cell? I mean, look at that.
I'm sorry, but I couldn't go to the toilet in front of anyone either.
No, I couldn't.
I know you have to. You know, you couldn't hold it in forever, but oh, the thought of that, no. Oh,
Claire Joe Max says it was based on a true story.
was it really?
Green Mile.
Was it?
Were it really based on a true story? Were it really based on a true story, Joe? I'm like, it's like I'm questioning you, Joe. I'm not really questioning you, but I'm like, woo. I can't remember. I thought I'd seen something of it.
Wow.
I can't remember.
There you go. That's a picture of the inmates about 1923 working in one of the shops.
Let's see what you type and don't want to. I know they don't. They're shocking for it, Steve. What's this? That workhouse?
That's where they were working in
Okay.
1923. One of
Yeah.
places in prison.
But so they should be working all hours and just have the breaks as they went in.
That'd be funny as well. But if I was in prison, I'd want to be busy. I'd want to be doing something. It must be awful. I mean, I know, like we've said, prisons are easy, but can you imagine being in Bangkok? No, I know what you're saying compared to other countries and different times and stuff. But can you imagine being in a cell all that time?
No.
If you were like saying 24-hour Bangkok part, oh, I'd go crazy.
No, not at all.
Days must drag.
You just can't imagine. I mean, you can't imagine it because we've not been there. And I think those that do go there, if they're in for a long time on a mental health level, it's got to make them work. It's not going to make them better. You know, if they're confined to themselves like 23 hours a day, we're not talking to anybody. There's nobody else in the cells to talk to. Do you know what I mean? It's
The Green Mile tells the tragic tale of John Coffey's conviction and execution, but is the film based on a true story? The answer is complicated. I have to look into that.
I thought it were, Nanny Lynn. I thought parts of it were like parts of it were true.
But is the film based on a true story?
Yeah, I thought parts of it were true. But then obviously
that's Joe and Nanny Lynn.
That's an interesting one. We'll have to look into that. Because that Green Mile, it gets me every time, that one.
I know, I read books when they first came out. They were like that tiny thin books that made up the actual novel.
Oh wow. I'd like to read them ones instead of reading big bulky novels. Have you? Oh, but when you have a feckle.
If it's not pictures and writing like Mr. Member.
No, that's brilliant.
Well, Lisa sent me this one. Let's see if I can get it.
What are you doing here?
I'm on my phone. So Lisa sent me this one, and it's called Madras Old Jailhouse, built in 1917. It's now a picturesque spot where tourists like to snap photos. But in the day, the formidable chunk of concrete exemplified the expression scared straight. Now, I can't read it because my thing, and I don't know whether you're going to see can you see the picture?
Yeah.
So that's it. I mean, whether there were bigger building to it, I don't know that what's left. I'm not sure. I don't know if you want to give that one a quick read. There's quite a bit, but
well, we'll do it on the next one.
Shall we do it on next one? So we'll start off with this one.
And then we've got that one we can do. So that makes it another 3 prisons.
Yeah, all right.
The other prisons we want to do is Gloucester Prison.
Yep.
Ohio State Reformatory, and
Yeah,
then that.
And then we'll do Madras Old
But obviously, it
Jailhouse.
took to get through them 3 took us longer than what we expected.
Yeah, it did.
I don't know why.
Yeah, mixed. I think that these events did happen.
I'm saying nothing.
Wow. Wow. Oh,
She already got face on with me.
who's got face on?
Yep.
Why have I got face
I
on?
don't know.
I haven't got face on. I don't get face on.
There's a day ending in a Y. You've got face on.
No, punch your lights out, mate.
See, told you. Aggressive.
So, who's ready for our investigation tomorrow night? Unfortunately, it's not a prison, but it is the Ashbourne Town Hall. The history, what we're going to do is we're going to come live on Sunday night and talk about the history to
And then the
Ashbourne.
week after, we are at the Fire Museum, which has got a cell in there.
Yeah,
I thought you were going to say fireman. I was getting all excited.
yeah. Got a cell in there. We're going to put you in cell, Claire, and
I thought
leave
you
you
were
in.
going to say fireman.
Well, there may be a fireman that's come. Lindsay got face on, John behaved.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, can't wait to hear all about history, Nanny. No. So yes, so Sunday night we will come on and we'll do the history instead of doing it on the actual night, because then that gives people who were there.
I've done no research about it at all,
Yeah.
and I don't want to.
Scotty knows all about it because Scotty did all research first.
He did. Scotty did all
and I've
research
still got
for
it all that he
us.
sent
Yeah,
me.
and I'm clueless.
But that's where Scotty's good memory, because Scotty has got a really good memory, will pick up if people say such and such, such and such.
Yeah.
Even if it's been said in chat, Scotty will be able to pick that up as well. So it's going to be really interesting. But I can't wait to get there and just start investigating again, because it's just, I just hope the energies are there, and we're going with the right energies. I can't remember that long ago. It weren't it? Were a while ago though that we
Do
did
you know
it.
what might be worthwhile doing though? Because like last time, me and Nanny Lynn obviously went to that Halloween place, Halloween. I had to go back to old footage and blah blah blah. Maybe if we took a pen and paper and any names that come through, jot them down. So that when we do go through the history, we've got them to hand.
We can
see if they did come
That'd be a
through.
good idea, Claire. That'd be a good idea that we could do that if we could take a pen and paper.
Then we're not trying to remember. Oh, such and such said that name or that.
Yeah.
Did
Or
that?
you're not
get
having
mentioned?
to scroll through to say.
Yeah,
We're-
footage to have a
yeah.
look.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be really good to do that. It's if we were. The thing is, though, you know, when the thing we're doing that is, you know, when you're involved in it, you forget to write down on your pen and paper. You have your pad and paper there, you just totally forget to use it. But we'll take it.
If we just left it on a table, though, anyone can just pick up the pen and write it down. You know, you don't have to go one person. Just pick up pen.
And
Yeah,
also,
add it onto
because
the list.
people may go off eventually on their own and have a
Jules,
bit
it's
of
the
time
town
on their
hall.
own.
It's Ashbourne Town Hall.
Ashbourne Town Hall.
Town Hall. So we're putting Lindsay on Town Hall steps. I'm going to get a photograph
John's
of Lindsay
going-
and Claire on
No.
Town Hall steps.
John needs to go on Town Hall steps.
They'll be throwing money to me, saying, "Go away, go away."
Dear. Do the widows. Get off, I'll pay you to shift.
I've got a picture of you on Sheffield Town Hall steps.
He has got a picture of me on Sheffield Town Hall steps. And our Jenny, he says to me, he says, I'm going to take a picture of you.
No, I said, you and Jenny stand there. And I didn't tell them what we're doing.
Yeah.
Because we're actually,
And I clicked when he was taking
I took pictures. I said, I've got you both on Town Hall steps now.
Nanny Lynn's put I'm out tomorrow night, so we'll watch it Sunday. You off anywhere nice, Nanny Lynn?
Lovely lady, that's okay.
I think what we're going to do is when we go places, if you go to Town Hall, I'm going to get a picture of you on Town Hall steps.
What, are every place we
Every
go
place
to?
we go.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I just think it'd be
Just
fun.
so you've got me on a picture of Town Hall steps.
Because, I mean, we've got you on Sheffield Town Hall steps. I can get you on Ashbourne tomorrow.
Yeah.
We've got to Chesterfield all the time, so I can get you on Chesterfield Town Hall steps.
Do you know he's got a fetish on it for these Town Hall steps, Claire?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I'm getting a bit worried.
So we will be. What time? I said round
Oh,
about
lovely. Clairvoyant night.
Yeah, Soldier, we've hired it.
Yeah, we've hired. Yeah. we've all chipped to and paid these. But I think there's all in all, I think there's 12 of us going. I haven't recalculated, but I think there's 12 going, possibly down to 10, because Yo-Yo's supposed to be coming and Rob tomorrow night. And if Yo-Yo's feeling 100%, she's going to come.
Fingers crossed, Yo-Yo.
I know. I can't see why she wouldn't come tomorrow. She was feeling a little bit better yesterday.
He'll be on YouTube.
So I'm hoping that with rest that she's had over the last few days, she'll be able to come. So so it's just going to be it's just going to be really good. It's going to be good meeting everybody. What time are you on, guys? Tomorrow I'm working till 10. I think what we're going to do is when we first get there, we're going to just go for a quick walk round in members. John will probably do it, or Scotty could do it, or if Claire's there when we get there, she can do it. Anybody can. And what we're going to do is go for a walk round in members and just show you all the rooms and the places with lights on, so you can see where everything is in light. Then we'll probably go live. Did you say about 9 o'clock?
I don't know. I'll put it on tomorrow. I've got to work it out. Because obviously when we get there, we've got to get everybody there, have a bit of a talk, you know what I mean? And whatever. And
so have
a cup of
where
tea,
we're going to go.
Where we're going
and which floor each team's going to go on. Are we going to split into 3 teams? Are we going to just do 2? Or are we just going to stay together as a whole group because there's less numbers?
Because what I might do is I might do us all as a whole group to start with.
And then split up.
And then if people want to go off on their own after we've done an investigation together, then anybody can go on.
Trouble
and
is,
then I can flip between everybody.
What we are going to have to do is we are going to have to, if we do that, like if we all split off towards end, and then like John says, he can flip between each team that's out there and just make sure everybody's okay and keep that thingy going. We would have to be aware that obviously if we hear a noise or a cough or anything, that we make sure that the other team haven't made that noise. Do you know what I mean? It's literally going to have to be that. But
yeah, you make a sound. You put your hand up.
Yeah, exactly. Or log it so you can tell when you go upstairs.
Yeah.
Or at such and such a time. We keep
anybody
the stool
trumps,
open.
you have to own up to it.
Yeah, if anybody.
No, I'm blaming you. That's our job.
Anybody's gonna own up to it. What did Steve put? I report my ban as a technical issue, David. We'll see if they pick it up that way. I hope they do. Hey, Soldier popped over to Facebook to say hello to you. Popped over from Facebook to say hello to you. Thank you, Nanny Lee. So I think what we're gonna do. Have you got anything left you want to say, Claire, or talk about anything that we've gone through tonight?
No, I just want to say I'm so excited with tomorrow.
Well, this is it. It's going to be, I mean, obviously, I'm going to be up quite a little bit later. So I may even end up going back live later on tonight if I can't sleep, because I've slept I think it were 5.
I've managed 2 hours.
But I've managed about 2.5 hours, and to me,
I got 2 hours, but they were broken 2 hours because Ruby kept coming and jumping on my head.
I know you have. I had 2.5 hours sleep, and 2.5 hours sleep for me is like having an 8 hours. It's like doing 8 hours at night. It just wakes me up. So I could come back live later on for just a normal chitty chat, nighttime chat.
So just remember, everybody, tomorrow night is Ashbourne Town Hall. That is the 5th, and then on the 12th we're at the National Services Museum in Sheffield.
And you can watch us live on our page on both. Can I just say, those of you that are joining our members, don't forget, when you go in, when you sign up and you go into the subscription group, go to the post. The first post, and click the link, because there's another link where you need to click to see us live, because the supporters group is set up by Facebook, and that's where the payments go, but the link to the members is in the comments, so please make sure you hit that link and just request to join members, and then I can just add you straight into members, but that's how you get the link to join. You go into supporters, get the link from there, and then join us on main. And make sure you check out the topic sections because there's so much in there. Check it out, right?
Not sure. Steve's put, I'm looking forward to seeing the infamous Scotty on camera. I'm not sure if he's going to be on camera.
You might not see the infamous
Hiding in
Scotty
the
on camera.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, Steve, you might hear him because Scotty might be behind the camera.
You know what he might do? He might bring one of them hockey masks.
Do you know what, right?
Like Jason.
Yeah.
It is to dress up as Stig because no one knows what Stig is, does it? You need to dress up as Stig.
He's got to keep a bit of that.
Yeah. I know what you're saying.
Suspicious, yes. What is it?
You're right. No, look, it's there. Suspension.
I am just going to say, has anybody seen War Dog or Jamie on YouTube? And if you do, if anybody does see him, please tell him I've messaged him. Let me check.
Because he's supposed to be coming tomorrow.
He's supposed to be coming tomorrow, but he's not been seen he's not been seen since last Sunday at 10:15.
And obviously Simon's supposed to be picking him up.
Simon's supposed to be picking him up. I've tried phoning and there is no answer. So I'm just a little bit worried because we've not heard from Jamie, and Jamie normally does pop on when we're live, especially on YouTube. Jamie will pop on, so I'm just a little bit worried because we've not heard anything. I just hope that he's all right and he's not come down with anything like COVID, like not the full cut. You know what I mean? I just hope that he's okay because, like I said, he normally does message me. When was last message?
He's putting up for a while. I can PM him for you.
Last message I got off him were 22nd of February. And he's bought himself some new equipment. It's a Trigger music box that he sent me to have a look at. That's it. Look, that's what he's bought.
Oh yeah.
And that was the last time that he'd messaged me. So yeah, if anybody does see him when you're on YouTube, Scotty, see if you can PM him for me, love. I mean, I've sent him a WhatsApp messenger, but let's see. The masked investigator. You know what we need to get? We need to get one of them like Brad Pitt mask face. You know the mask faces that you can get. We had Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. So we need to get Scotty one of them to go on camera. And just go like this on camera so still nobody knows.
He was active on Instagram yesterday. I'll message him there.
Oh, bless you.
Scotty. That's where I've got him on Instagram. It tells me
on WhatsApp.
Oh yeah, it's WhatsApp, not Instagram. Cheers, my lovely. We'll see you tomorrow for a live investigation.
Lisa's getting higher.
I'll not sleep and I'll be right excited for tomorrow.
And then you'll be right tired.
I'll be tired tomorrow night. I'll be on coffee.
I'm having a lie-in in morning.
We're gonna try. Even if
I don't manage to sleep, I'm still gonna have I'm still gonna lay in bed till about 11. I'm gonna have a lie-in tomorrow.
Right then. Do you want to say your goodbyes, my lovely Claire?
Good night. God bless everyone, and see you tomorrow. Stay safe.
Good night from me, and we will see you tomorrow. And I can't wait to back out investigating.
How do I get to say something, man?
You're shutting down there.
You would be listening to you all night and to put in then.
Right, thank you everybody for joining us tonight. I hope you have enjoyed our little. See, I don't get to say no.
Go on, sorry.
Thank you everybody for joining us tonight. I hope you have enjoyed our little live on history of some haunted prisons. That's part 1. If Lindsay's alive for part 2, I'll be surprised. But yeah, and we shall see you all tomorrow night, Ashbourne Town Hall. Don't be late.
Yeah, and I'll see you morning for tomorrow morning chit chat as well.
I won't because I'm having a lay-in.
Yeah, I'll be on for
I'm
chit
having
chat.
a lie-in.
The self-care help. Oh, where are we? There you are, look.
You get all confused, don't you? Because there's 2 screens.
The 2 screens, and I hate the 2 screens. The arrow goes.
You have to move cursor off one screen onto other. It's like an extended screen with 2 monitors.
All right.
In my head in Claire, because I'm like looking at that one and we're on that one, and it's like
it's confusing.
Good night, guys. Take care.
Take
Bless
care,
be.
everybody.
See you soon.